Hi there and welcome to another episode of the Bitcoin Bridge, CoinGeek's weekly video show focusing on Bitcoin BSV projects in the Asia Pacific region. Today we're going to go over to Singapore and talk to Jeff Chen. Jeff is the founder of the Maxthon browser project and also NB Domain. He's got a lot of interesting things to say about digital identity, ownership of domains, Eurospace on the internet, censorship, and believe it or not, we actually get to cover most of that in the next half an hour. So stay tuned. Here's Jeff, and see you later. Jeff Chen, welcome to the Bitcoin Bridge. It's good to have you on.
The honor to be here.
Excellent. Now, you're based in Singapore, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Singapore right now.
Okay, and you're the founder of the Maxthon browser project and the NB Domain project.
Yes.
We're going to talk about those in a minute, but before we get on to those, I just want to talk a little generally about what it's like where you are. Is there much of a Bitcoin BSV developer community in Singapore?
Yeah, there are several people I connect frequently, talk about the Bitcoin in general, and also Bitcoin SV, what's the differences. And they're not a big group, but there are some people that are quite interested in this area, including one of my friends in Google or in some other big companies. There's some tech-focused people really love the idea about Bitcoin and trying to develop some stuff with them. That's also one reason that I developed the NB domain, also in the developing new features in Maxon browser to facilitate this kind of interest. Maybe we could work together, with more people to develop cool product on Bitcoin protocol.
Very nice. Are the people you work with mainly in Singapore, or do you have people in other countries as well?
Actually, in our community, there are people around the world. There are people in Singapore. I also have people in other countries, like in China, in Hong Kong, also in East Asia, and actually in US. Because in the past we have created a great community around the Maxon browser. Maxon browser is an established product with millions of users worldwide. That's why we started an NB domain project. There are other fans, Maxon fans. They heard that I'm devoting myself into the new blockchain stuff, and they want to join and try to do something with me together.
So, what's your story in Bitcoin? How did you end up where you are today? Working with the Bitcoin SV protocol. Did you come through Bitcoin Cash, or are you newer to the project?
No. I know Bitcoin at very early stage when Bitcoin is around less than around several hundred $. Then I didn't buy a lot, unfortunately, but I'm quite interested in the Bitcoin technology because myself is also doing some development myself, and also like the idea of decentralized currency. And I was always thinking that how can we use this technology to create something different. We have the vision that the world is coming towards our decentralized system. If we look at what happens in the US, like these 2 days, the GME, the stuff that the stock market, let's see, the decentralization that create great power, compared to centralized, like the broker or virtual fund, hedge fund, So we can feel there is a trend. We can feel the movement. We can feel the power from the decentralization. So that's something that drives me, study the Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin was the first successful decentralized project that showed the power to the world. So we study it and we see what we can do to utilize this kind of power and push the digitalization into a new level.
Yeah, I certainly hope you're right. I'm seeing more of a centralization happening on the internet at the moment. Things are things are just coagulating around these big corporate blobs, and for a while there we were headed in the other direction, and I hope we can get back to where we were before, but at the moment now it seems it's not the time when people are looking for that, or they are looking for it.
The world is kind of my feeling is that the world is in our at the stage that something big change will happen. It's more like when at the early stage of internet, when internet come to the world the first time, we see what kind of disruptive power the internet brings to the world, and rebuild the world into a new civilization. But now I think it's kind of in that spot, that some new power will come from the Bitcoin, then spread around the world to a lot of places.
Yeah, I like that optimistic view. I definitely hope you're right, and I like to think that too.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about NB Domain and Maxon. Which one of those came first?
I can talk about a little bit about Maxon.
Sure.
Maxon is actually the hobby project I created back in 2003. Mm-hmm. I was quite alone in Singapore, so that's why I created this project for myself.
Yep.
Then I got some people that love this product and found the Maxon is it's a nice tool for them to use to browse the internet. Then we got some fans around the product, and I create a community to support this product. Then after over 15 years, it's still quite strong, and we still innovate on the product itself. The reason that we can continue to develop such a complex product, because browser is a quite complex product.
Yeah.
In this world, not a lot of companies doing browser business. The reason that we do this for so long time is because we can always innovate. We always have some thinking that before others. For example, in 2005, we introduced the browser services into the Maxon. Mm-hmm. That's the world's first browser syncing service in the world. Much earlier than Chrome, than Firefox, than all of them. So, that's why we introduced the blockchain technology into Maxon around a year ago. When I look at the Bitcoin technology, Bitcoin SV, the project, and I found that if we can combine the browser technology with the Bitcoin technology, we probably can create something everyone can use. Because currently, the Bitcoin technology is kind of, complex for average users.
Kind of.
So we want to combine them with a browser product, which is quite common, quite easy to use product. Yeah. Combine them together so people can use the technology of Bitcoin without even knowing they are using the Bitcoin.
That is the idea, yeah. So I was playing with Maxthon before, and I noticed that it does have a built-in blockchain wallet and a blockchain identity to go with it.
Yes.
How do you actually use that when you're using the browser? You have to integrate it with other services?
Yeah, to our vision for the decentralized internet. Mm-hmm. We have vision that the internet will further decentralize and give people more power to themselves. So in the decentralized internet, I think the most important thing is user have to have a decentralized identity. If we look at now, we never truly have identity. Either you have a Gmail or a Facebook or a Twitter account. It's not yours. It's always belong to a certain big company, right?
Yeah.
You never really have your identity. So the first thing I think is important is to create an identity that you really own.
Yeah.
So that's why we introduced the identity to the Maxon VBucks wallet. We call it identity. We don't call it a private key or the public key, which will confuse the users. Mm-hmm. And we use a different philosophy to design this product. So every identity actually is belongs to the user, right, not belong to any big company. Then people can use this identity to log into the application, decentralized application. So then, either any application can no longer disable or delete user's identity. I think that's quite important to keep to give user the freedom. It's kind of like a Bitcoin, right? You have your Bitcoin key, and no one can take your Bitcoin away, without your permission. So it's kind of,
we hope,
we borrow that idea into the identity, that you have your identity, then no one can take your identity away without your permission. That's why, I think that's the fundamental element for the decentralized internet.
So with this system, combining NB domain and the Maxthon browser, you have your identity tied to a Bitcoin address.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. So
exactly.
Technically you could give that address or give those keys to someone else, couldn't you?
You can. It's more, if you give your address, that's fine. That's kind of your address of your identity, or the public image of identity of yours. But you keep your private key. If right. you keep your private key, the identity is yours, because we can verify that your identity. You can sign something that to verify this key belongs to you, right?
Right.
But if you give your private key to others, yes, you really gave your identity to others. That's fine, because we think there are some scenarios that people want to transfer identity to another wallet or another places. We the whole philosophy is we don't want to hold people to anywhere, even ourselves. People don't bind to ourselves. You can go to other wallets as well. You don't bind to us. So we want to give users the freedom.
Right. That's a very interesting concept. That there could be all kinds of implications from that, I think.
Yes.
So is the identity system within Maxthon, that is connected to NB domain?
Yes, because identity is created by the user keys, right? Private key, public key. That's not easy to use. That's very complex. You don't want to use a public key or a Bitcoin address to log into an application. You still need an easy-to-use, unique, user-friendly ID.
Yeah.
So that's why NB domain come to this place. NB domain is the user-defined name, of the identity. Actually, is your identity. It's connected to your identity. Then they are together. So you can use NB domain like Jeff Chen.b as your account name. Then use this one to log into any decentralized application. And since Jeff Chen.b is binded to your identity, which is the private key and public key that you hold, you can always prove that you're the owner of Jeff Chen.b. So that creates a whole, close the circle, make it easy to use and still belongs to the users.
So at present, you can only see a .b domain using the Maxthon browser. Can you?
No, actually no. Currently, Maxon browser has the native support about this NB domain. But actually, yesterday, we just announced that we have published the Chrome extension of .b domain. So you can access .b domain on Chrome as well with this extension.
Oh, that's very handy.
Yes.
Yeah, that opens up a whole new world.
The goal is to support all the browsers in the world, and we actually have the technical plan, to support that.
Right. I actually registered a .b domain with NB domain a couple of weeks ago. I haven't gone through the process of doing anything with it yet because I wanted to go to do a sort of a demo video based on that and sort of learn as I go. But now that I've got you here, what do you do with that domain once you've got it registered?
Okay. Currently, you you cannot do much if you are not really technical, because we are building some
What's really technical
foundation about the whole building.
Yeah.
Currently, you can do something, because, for example, you can create a subdomain and assign some content to the subdomain. Right. Currently, we have created some feature that you can write some words into your subdomain. For example, blog.jeffchen.b.
Right.
You can write a blog into it, and if you input this address in Maxon browser or Chrome browser with that intention, you can see the blog in front of you. So we have a very currently we have implemented our blog feature about MB domain, but later we'll create more application that for everyone to use MB domain in a decentralized way. To then at that time, I think there are more and more power that will reveal to the users, to the end user.
Yeah.
Currently, we are talking to a lot of developers. We're trying to let developer be familiar with our protocol. Familiar with the programming language. Also the idea how we gonna develop a decentralized application in the near internet. So we're building stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you would go about actually hosting content on your domain. Good.
There are two ways. Actually, there are two ways to host content. The one way is to write the content into the blockchain directly by under the user's identity. That's quite important, because we want to make sure this content belongs to its owner.
Yeah.
So currently, as you can write those blog into the subdomain and make a transaction. Those content will write to the blockchain. Then, when the browser interpret this address, it will get the content from the blockchain. Then you'll see those blogs. The second way is we can save those content in a decentralized content network. It's not on blockchain, probably on like IPFS. You probably know IPFS. It's a decentralized content network. It's not blockchain, but we can still use it to save decentralized content. In my idea about the decentralized internet, decentralized world, there are a lot of technologies. I actually not the believer that in the future only will be one technology that dominates the whole world. No, that's not something I believe. I think we need to cooperate. Cooperate with other community or other technology. We'll sure use anything that is mature. We can use to build stuff. We don't have we don't need to build everything by ourselves, right? There's a lot of new technologies ready, so we can save the content to the decentralized network. In that direction, actually, we can save a lot, because everyone in Bitcoin community knows that you cannot save too much data on Bitcoin, although it can hold those data, but it will cost too much for the users, right? You save a movie on the Bitcoin, you got bankrupt. So we don't want to do that. We want to give you the options. Actually, there in our community, there people always say, we can save the hash. Save the hash on blockchain, then we can verify the data off chain, right? So that's something we could do with MB domain as well. We are designing that kind of technology to allow people to save a lot of data on the decentralized network and keep the hash on Bitcoin network. Then we can verify those data, the integrity. So I think that's another way to save data. In that way, we can almost save anything, anything or with any size on the decentralized network.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, even services like here on Streamanity, they don't actually host the videos on the blockchain. It's hosted on servers and hashed to the blockchain.
Yeah, but later you could you save the video on decentralized network, and post those videos hash on the blockchain, then first you can always prove the video is produced by you, right?
Right. Yeah.
The ownership. Second, it gave you very big velocity to use the content, because that's a decentralized network. It's kind of sometimes internal censorship resistance. If you say on Amazon, and the content is about some political stuff that Amazon doesn't like, they take you offline, right? Currently, the political feature, the trend in US is, everything is political related. If you're not in the same side, they cut your service. That's horrible.
Yep. Well, that is a very topical issue at the moment, and traditionally people said if there is actually illegal content, then we can block access to it or have it removed, which no one on the internet really worked hard to do before, but now they seem to be quite keen to do it.
Actually, who can decide it's illegal or not?
Well,
now I always believe only the court can decide, right? The court say you are illegal, you're illegal. If the court don't say you're illegal, you're legal, right?
Yeah.
So it's not political. It's not your opinion. So people should be able to use their data, without affected by their opinion.
Yeah, well, these days it's just large privately owned platform providers that are deciding who gets access, who gets a voice, who gets to publish on the internet, and it's quite a mess, if you ask me.
Exactly. That's why we're here. That's why we come up to provide people a different choice. We give people the choice to save their data, without, affected by their own opinions.
And hypothetically, if someone were to upload something truly terrible, provably illegal in court that no one would disagree about, there is a means to still remove that content, or at least remove access to that content. Is that right?
Yeah, there's several ways to do it. In our design, the NB domain system is quite similar to Bitcoin system.
Right.
In NB domain, there are nodes. There are different NB domain nodes. People can create NB domain nodes, and the nodes actually will interpret those data and deliver data to the users. And the nodes can be everywhere, can be in different countries. So, if there are some legal issues, I think the node itself will handle those legal issues.
Yeah, I think so. And have you had, how many people have signed up for and registered an NB domain?
Our current several thousand, I think several thousand, right. And they're increase every day. Yeah.
It's incredibly easy to do, by the way. I was surprised. It was actually easier than registering a traditional domain.
Yeah, it's actually easier than traditional domain. Yeah. First, it's a kind of permissionless. We don't ask users phone number, your email, or give me your ID.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Well, the ID comes later.
What people need is just a Bitcoin wallet that can generate the transaction that we need. As long as they have it, they can have their domain. And the more importantly is our domain requires no renewal. You don't have to renew the domain. It's
that was
yours.
The most interesting part. Yeah, forever. Or for as long as
you choose. Yeah, it's yours forever. So the domain name, NB domain is quite different than traditional domain. Traditional domain is just grant you the usage right? You rent the domain from their register. And
you don't own it at all.
If you don't pay for it, it's gone. It's not yours. Actually, it's not yours. But NB domain, it's yours. It's always yours.
Yeah,
it's more like a commodity. It's like notebook. We create a notebook and we handle the notebook to you. That's yours. That's how you use the notebook. It totally depends on you. We don't bother you about it, but you are responsible for what you use with the notebook, right? So similar to NB domain.
Right, yeah. And then I guess that after you've created that domain space, then you go about connecting a real world identity to that domain if you want. I mean,
You
obviously,
can.
you're not
Yeah,
going to tie your identity to every
that's in
domain.
the application layer. In
Yeah.
our the basic layer, it's just your private key, your public key. Actually, your public key is connected to the domain. We don't know your private key. That's
Right.
that's your wallet. But on the other layer, people can create different layers of applications based on NB domain. Maybe there's an application that can connect your NB domain to your real world identity or phone number or something.
Gotcha,
even more sensitive. But that's that application's way to handle it.
That's right, yeah. And you wouldn't want to tie your real world identity to
We
every
don't.
single. Like,
Yeah,
if I own 100
for
domains.
something that's so basic. As I said, we want to create some basic element for the future internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's so basic. The basic stuff should be, have very non-user information, private information bind with it, right? Yeah. We want that be a basic layer. It's like IP address. It's the basic layer. It's a neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about users themselves. It's just an ID.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go to nbdomain.com right now and register my name as a domain before someone squats on it and wants to charge me $1 million to get it back again. Hopefully before this show goes out.
Okay, cool.
All right, thanks, Jeff. There's a lot more I want to ask you, and I do want to get you back on the show sometime to talk at length about pretty much anything we talked about today, in more detail.
Cool.
Would you be up for that?
Yeah, we love to. There are
Excellent.
so many stuff we want to share,
Great.
and so many things we're building on NB domain. We would love to share more information, more update to all the users.
All right. We'll do that then. In the meantime, I mentioned nbdomain.com. How about Maxthon? Where can people download that?
Maxon can be downloaded from maxon.com, maxthon.com.
Cool. And is there anywhere on social media you'd like people to follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I usually, share some ideas, that come to my mind. On Twitter, we could discuss a lot of things there.
Done. All right then, Jeff Chen. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.